What's up, people? Me and the wife doing our daily quests, watching YouTube. It's great. So much content, so much stuff. We were watching videos on the automotive industry, where vehicles, of course, are insanely overpriced, and watching as a lot of the corporate things, corporate America bullshit that we're all accustomed to at this point in time. It's funny because we're seeing where, like, even just everyday trucks and cars are $100,000. It's like, I'd really piss somebody off going into a dealership because I'd be like, yeah, I want that truck out there. Oh, really? You want that truck? Oh, it's so great. It's awesome. Sure, let's work out a deal. I'll give you $30,000 for it. Sir, you realize that truck's worth $100,000? No, I think $30,000. I don't think that. I don't think. Look at any vehicle these days. Do you really see any worth in any brand new vehicle? I don't. There's a couple of cars that we could say merit a hefty price tag, but for the most part, like, if I'm going to spend $100K, I'm going to get myself a fucking Dodge Daytona, a Roadrunner or something like that, like something very unique, very rare, something cool. I'm not going to buy mom's SUV for $100,000. Like, pull your fucking head out of your ass. It's the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life. I was in the car business at one point in time, but damn, am I glad I got out. Especially when all that shit started happening in 2020, when auto manufacturers and just the auto industry in general just blew their fucking brains out and they don't know what to do with it. But of course, we've seen all sorts of other corporate things just always going awry, which leads to the whole topic today of corporations need to function as an actual government. Now, in some ways, shape, and form, they kind of do. But for the most part, they don't. So obviously, way that they function as a government, they have policy, which I'm sure policy makes me laugh. Company policy to me, I know this is a little bit of a sidetrack, but company policy is the dumbest shit that has ever existed in life. It doesn't protect anybody except for the business itself. That's all policy is for. It doesn't protect you as an employee, even though it says it does. Oh, for the safety and well-being of our employment, XYZ. No, because there's a bunch of stipulations involved in the grand scheme of things, especially like at-will states. Like, I live in an at-will state, which means you could do nothing wrong. Nothing. You're like a star pupil. You're the best employee that this company has ever had, and they just fire you for no reason. You don't have to have a reason. That's what at-will means. They can just fire you, and there doesn't have to be any causation for it, which to me is corrupt as shit. If I was president or anything of that nature, I would most certainly ensure that if a company is to let someone go, there has to be a well-documented circumstance from which you are able to prove that the employee is doing and is exactly as you say they are. And then, of course, in the case of layoffs, that your financial situation is actually in such a way that you have to lay off people. You have to. Oh man, we're drowning in debt, or we have to let employees go. And even then, it's to be subjected to audit and review before you can initiate layoffs. Needless to say, there needs to be a lot of accountability when it comes to corporate America and to why I believe they should function more like a government. And really, the key point here is that it should act like presidents and Senate and stuff like that, except for not quite Senate-y to the United States, because unfortunately Senate doesn't really have any term limits. That's a problem. But America, as far as a president is concerned, you got 4 years, and if you've been a good boy or girl, you get to be 4 more years of a president, so 8 maximum. And I think this is great. I think if corporations had to incorporate a presidential system where your CEO can only be a CEO for 8 years maximum through internal voting, meaning that all the employees have a vote on if they want to keep their CEOs, if they want to keep their board members, so on and so forth. And that, in a nutshell, that alone, having this system put in place, would create an entirely different field of view with corporate America. There actually would be advocacy with employment. And even if it's the whole fake the smile type thing, like, smile and wave, yeah, I'm here for you. And even if they don't mean it, they're still going to do those things for the employment because, well, they want that vote. They want to secure more time as a CEO. So therefore, they're going to say and do things and provide for the employment that wouldn't exist otherwise in our current system. Imagine CEOs actually giving a shit what their employees really think and seeing the poll numbers and everything like, oh shit, I'm that unpopular? What the fuck did I do wrong? They'd actually maybe, doubtful, but maybe they'd have some sort of internal realization that maybe they're a piece of shit and they need to flip themselves around in order to maintain their CEO status. And of course, they could still be in the company if they even lose the vote or lose out on being a CEO. They could still be on the board or whatever, but, this can't happen, though, unless this system exists. So, this could create it would create an entirely better environment for all workers across the whole corporate scene in America. Again, because your CEOs and your board and, your presidents and vice presidents, because they love to have that term, I'm the president of a company, but yet you're a fucking piece of shit and you don't deserve your role. It would actually cause them to do things right by their own internal economy, their own internal population. Because if they don't, you don't work here no more. And so there would be an attitude change. There would be an actual thought process behind company policy. There would be a thought process behind employee advocacy, and the list goes on and on and on. And the 4-year term limit, and of course the opportunity to go into 8 years, is wonderful, because in the 4 to 8 years of time that you have, you really can't set a foundation for yourself that lets you abuse your workforce indefinitely. Such as, let's take Disney as an example. How many times they've changed CEOs, but did the Disney employees ever get a chance to vote for this? No. Because I guarantee you they wouldn't have voted for anyone that is currently in their seats of power with Disney. And the same can be said for 99% of the rest of corporate America. If the people actually had the opportunity to vote, which in my personal opinion they do, because it's, you signed up with this company. You made a choice to work for them. They made the choice to hire you. This is an equal playing field that we actually are on, but doesn't exist because of just, that people have let it happen. There's no room for improvement. There's no room for anything, because it's either how we general public view CEOs and view corporate America. It's like, that's no fucking surprise. Of course they would fucking do that. Oh, that's totally like them. Ah, fucking pieces of shit. Da, 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 da. And the and instead, like, we just go along with it. We just go along with this whole thing of, that's just our point of view. Well, how do you change that? Well, it would probably take an act of government. I think Trump would be a good one, but unfortunately he's a businessman, so I don't think he would ever consider reforming corporate America in this way, enforcing term limits on CEOs and so on and so forth. But again, the enrichment of the work life for the general populace would improve dramatically, especially when you have CEOs or CEO candidates that are vying for control, wanting your vote, and saying the things, or even better yet, doing the things that are going to secure those votes. Hey, I promise you a $5 an hour increase. If you elect me, you'll see it. Or this stupid policy over here that has been part of our company for years. I plan to get rid of it because I understand it doesn't do shit for you or anybody, and it only protects the company. And I'm a people person. Whatever bullshit they want to throw at you, but at least you're getting something out of it. At least you, the general populace worker, are in the fight. You don't have to call the union. You don't have to call this. You don't have to just deal with it. And ultimately, of course, like I said, this whole at-will bullshit, if you even remotely speak up against tragedies or issues or problems in your own workplace, they're gone. See you later. We don't need you here. You're clearly a problem and a menace to us, so, we're just going to let you go. Even though you've done nothing wrong. Hell, you could have a fucking perfect record. I know there's plenty of you out there who have experienced this, including myself. Never had any issues, never a problem, but hey, see you later because you had a disagreement with me. I'm sorry. Not saying that it should be illegal, but it shouldn't exist in the first place. I think the at-will shit is the dumbest, the absolute dumbest thing that a state can have as far as their work environments, because it makes it toxic as hell. You have a personal disagreement, something that's not even dealing with business. You're going to have a personal disagreement with someone outside of the company. Let's just say you're buddy with your boss or something like that, but you would disagree with something. We're people, right? We're very emotional creatures. So that motherfucker, your boss, keeps it in his head. Next day you're at work. Hey, Scott, can I see you in your office? Hey, man, we're going to let you go. And then, of course, Scott's just like, is it because of the fucking shit that we said last night at the bar? Dude, that's just... But this scenario happens. And so without merit or without question or without proof, a perfectly fine employee gets axed because of these potential personal problems. That's why it's abusable. And companies, obviously, and it's just an obvious thing, you're going to abuse those things. You're always going to be cheating. ABC, always be cheating, and businesses love it. They do it all the time. So they need, in order for CEOs to not have the general public coming after them with guns, for CEOs to actually be accountable for their things, and overall the business and its conduct and its policies to actually function reliably. Because here's another point. Profit margins shouldn't be this high. Profit margins on a business should be pretty low, actually. All this extra income should simply be going to emergency funding. I know you can't see my hands, but I'm doing this. Emergency funding, bonuses, employee advocacy, infrastructure, ensuring that they can pay for all these things. And of course they do have this stuff, but all this extra money, where is it going? It's an obvious answer. Into the pockets of all CEOs and their board members and whoever they deem worthy of a little extra bump in pay. But of course, the employee doesn't get this trickle down. The shit stops in the middle, and then, everything remains the same on the bottom of the barrel. And that's a problem, because you're not sharing the wealth, and that should be another prime policy. So one, you have term limits. As a CEO, you get 4 years. Your entirety of your business, and if you're global, worldwide, so I'm talking like Walmart and McDonald's and stuff like that they're found all over the planet, all of those employees will vote on whether they still want you in for another 4-year term. And then at the end of the 4 years, you have 2 new candidates for CEO. Again, it's our presidential system. And it keeps things fresh. It keeps new ideas flowing. It keeps employee advocacy, because those CEOs are now going to be pressured to ensure that you, as a worker, are actually treated correctly. And, it's good. It's good shit. And so a presidential election system conducted by the employment, not only just the board, and, oh, yeah, we need Bob up there. Bob's a real hell of a guy, he's going to give us a 10% increase in pay. God, we got to get Bob in there. Instead of that happening, it's, holy shit, 50,000 people want Bob there because he plans to up the wages and get rid of some stupid policy that doesn't need to be in place anymore. Go Bob. See how different of an environment that is. It's significantly different and way better. So the term limits, and then you also have the reformation of the whole, even just the government itself that surrounds corporations, which is, in my personal opinion, would be the at-will stuff. It cannot exist. At-will cannot exist anymore. It's just, you have to have proof, evidence, merit, and beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are firing or laying off these individual or individuals because of XYZ. And it should be submitted to an actual entity outside of the business for review, investigation work, whatever. Like, it should be a fucking hassle to fire someone as far as like, something that's what's the best thing to say here? If you done fucked up really bad, right? Like, you cost the company a lot of money, yes, immediate termination. And if this other outside entity that I'm talking about, who does investigations on all the firing processes with businesses, and they say, you fired that guy and you didn't go through us, why? And they give them a bill showing the employee identification number, video or photography or whatever else, and basic proof that they really fucking fucked up. Sure, that employee isn't going to have a chance to rebuttal or any of that. It's a clearly you fucked up, so yeah, I understand why they fired you. But on the flip side of that same coin, if you've done nothing wrong, or you have very few infractions or issues, whatever have you, that's not grounds for firing. That's if you fire someone and your company is successful, the company isn't having any issues financially, and down to the store level from which this employee is active with, well, the store is fine, so why are you getting rid of the employee? Because they were late for work twice? It's not a good enough answer. Now, granted, depends on the policy of the business as to why. Policy reformation. Like, it's not there to protect the employee, and it's not even there to protect the customer. In fact, the customer is the last person that a company gives a shit about. It is all about making sure that if the employee fucks up or does something that the company don't like, or just any little small thing goes wrong, they can Hey, it was in our policy. They signed the document. Oh well, see you later. That's not. It needs to be It needs to make sense. Like just to throw out an example, like a 3-strike rule. If you're late for work without notice 3 times in 1 month, you're axed. You're gone. I know some companies have point systems, and all other sorts of things and whatnot, and really allows, because we're all people, right? We oversleep. We didn't get enough sleep last night. We partied too late. Shit happens, right? So there needs to be those point systems, and there needs to be some leniency on those things. But if you're going to fire someone over the first time that they're late, or the first time that you have an issue or a conversation with them and they disagree with what you say, and you find that rebellious nature or blasphemy or what's the best word to use with that, disorderly conduct, whatever you want to throw, what term you want to use here, too fucking bad. Soak up your feelings. Who gives a shit? In fact, you should take every criticism that you get as an employer, because maybe you are doing something fucking wrong and you need to actually change your shit. Because believe me, if I had the opportunity to tell the places that I used to work for these things and they took it to heart, it would be a better place to work for. But you don't get that opportunity, especially as a lowly employee. Nonetheless, though, it needs restructuring. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'll get these people," but you never will. You'll never get any of this, of what I'm saying, unless the actual United States government comes in and starts making these actual changes and getting rid of the at will, giving term limits to CEOs and board members and so on and so forth of companies, etc., etc., etc. You could argue a point of like, well, this CEO has been great for the past 16, 20 years he's been a CEO, but that's, in my personal opinion, that's a 1%. And I guarantee you, even then, there are improvements that can happen in the business, improvements that can be done, because as we see in our own government system, there's a lot of archaic, antiquated, and just absolutely just not needed stuff in our system. And I think a lot of people have, as far as streamers and other content creators and stuff like that, have definitely hit the head on the nail and said that they just don't understand technology. They don't understand video games. They don't understand anything because they're fucking 70, 80 years old and in a seat of power. There's nobody there that not only is young, but also understands the general public. And that's a big problem. And so until you get this new blood in our system, and they're not completely fucking psycho, like some of them are, that the ones that are already showing up, like I would say Vivek Ramaswamy and JD Vance are the best, newer, younger political people that I've seen in a very long time. Absolutely, they're fine people. I actually would have voted for Vivek if things didn't happen the way they did, but nonetheless, it's just the fact that we're starting to get some brilliance in there. But unfortunately, even though I believe that the brilliance is slowly coming into the government, it's still going to overshadow the general public's pressure points, which is your work life, your personal life, and the things that you wish to enjoy life with. And you just want to fucking live, dude. Like, that's the thing. We just want to just do our thing, not have a fucking dictionary thick paperwork of saying, well, this is how you actually have to conduct yourself with every fucking facet of your life. There you go. Like, I don't have much more to say on it, but corporate America most certainly needs a reformation of some sort. They need the government to come in and actually tear down policy, create term limits, and give employees some power. My personal opinion, you have less power as an employee than you do as a American citizen, and just a citizen in general. As soon as you walk out of your work doors, 90% or more of all of America sighs relief. Huh, fuck. I made it another work day. They didn't fire me. Whew. You know, we breathe a breath of fresh air once we're done working, because now we can go back to reality in some way, shape, or form. But when you enter those doors every morning or night, depending on your shift, a lot of people dread it because they just don't fucking know what's going to happen. Is this business closing their doors this day? Am I getting fired today? Oh, I better not fuck up. I better wear a fake smile on my face and tell the customer that they're always right. You're a stupid piece of shit. But that's the truth. Like, we can't be real. We can't have a form of reality in the workplace. And that's a big problem, and it's been a problem for a very long time. So that was my 2 cents on that. Corporate America needs a reformation. And who knows? Maybe we'll see it. Maybe we won't.